Hi YouTube, Engine Number 100. Just the other day, I pulled the car out for a different video, took a few shots, and then when I went to put the car away, about 30 minutes later, it would not start. Turns out, I had a dead alternator. It wasn't the battery, it was a brand new battery. I load tested it to be good, and it was good. So now, we're gonna have to change out the alternator, and I'll show you the basic steps involved with that process. Stay tuned. The first thing I recommend you do anytime you change an alternator is disconnect the negative battery cable. That's done now, let's get started. The second step in changing the alternator is taking out the air filter. It's a pretty easy process. I'll give you some close-ups of what that involves, and we'll do that now. First thing I like to do is disconnect the electrical connector on the mass airflow meter. That's located right here. And just pull it off like that. The second thing you want to do is loosen this hose clamp because you're going to rotate the airbox out after we disconnect and take out this 13mm bolt. Next, I'm going to remove the serpentine belt here by relieving tension with the tensioner here. I think it's a 15mm wrench that goes on there. I have attached a short bungee cord to the hinge on the deck lid here, and I'll take this bungee cord and I'll attach it to the serpentine belt once I take it loose, because you don't need to take it all the way loose just to replace the alternator. You only need to take it off of the alternator pulley, and then I'll tension it so that it doesn't come loose on the other pulleys. Now I'll remove the serpentine belt, 15mm, that was correct, socket size. Give it a nice pull. Remove the belt from the alternator, and then put a little tension on it with the little bungee cord here. That way it'll be easy for me to get it back on once we're done. Next, we're going to remove both of the inlet hoses from the turbos, like so. These are pretty easy. You don't even need a tool. Just rotate them off. Okay. I usually take these off and put them on the bench so I don't lose them. And the next thing we'll be taking off after we do the other side is the Y pipe. Okay, to remove the Y pipe, you must disconnect the F pipe hose. Then there are 3 bolts. There's a mount bolt here, a mount bolt here. There are some vacuum tubes connected to the, I guess it's the N75 valve. There's one little mount bolt right here. Okay. And you have to take loose this hose clamp from the throttle body. And then there's a vacuum hose here and an electrical connector here. Okay. You just push that down and take that out. I'll be doing that now to remove the Y pipe. Okay, so the Y pipe is loose. I actually left the vacuum connections to the N75 connected because I didn't want to take them loose. So I just used my other hands, which is the little bungee cords, to hold the Y pipe up out of my way. Now, there are 2 bolts that mount the alternator. They're 15mm. There's one that is backwards facing here, and there's one that is forward facing here. Both are 15mm. And once you remove those, you can take the alternator out and disconnect the electrical connections on the back. We'll take those bolts out. Okay, a couple of quick tips. The rear facing bolt is this one here, and it's much shorter than the one in the front. This one here. If you look at these, you can tell the difference. Don't get them confused. And a quick tip, if you take out the rear facing shorter bolt first, the one on this side, before you even loosen this side, this bolt will keep everything tight so that once you break this one loose, it's easy to take all the way out. Then loosen this side. Otherwise, if you loosen both sides, once you loosen this, the alternator will shift and will bind up and make it much more difficult to take this bolt out. Another important tip is when taking the Y pipe loose from the throttle body by loosening the hose clamp, loosen the hose clamp a lot more than you think you need to. Loosen the hose clamp a lot, because when you go to take it out, there's a lip here, okay? And that will go up onto the gasket and make it get tight again. So you need that hose clamp as loose as possible, much looser than you would normally need on a hose that is smooth, to get the Y pipe loose. So now that the bolts are out, we can take the alternator out and disconnect the electrical connectors on the back. I'll show you that now. You also want to remove this idler pulley here so you have enough room to take the alternator out. The bolt holding the idler pulley is also 15 millimeter. Now you have access to the electrical connector and the electrical wire. Just depress the clip, give it a little wiggle, and this comes off. Then you can take, I think this is a 13 millimeter, and take all this to the ground. And the electrical connector. And now we have the new alternator here. I guess the first thing we'll do is reconnect ground here. Now just make sure we put the long bolt in the front, like so. Okay, she's all done. Alternator's installed and it's all buttoned up. Now is the moment of truth. We go ahead and test it and see if the alternator is actually charging. I'm going to employ my load tester here to see if the alternator is actually charging. If the battery is good when the engine is not running, it should measure good right here. And if the alternator is good, it should measure right here in this green. This green is for battery. This green is for alternator. Okay, fired up the engine, and it looks like right where it belongs. Job well done. Thanks for watching.